This movie was about
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classics, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will, T-Will. Every frame we capture is a real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the lens, capture.
MCU movie fans, Marvel fans everywhere, Falcon fans, Philly fans, Saints fans, NFL fans, fans of all movies and all kinds, all across the globe. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the For My ATL Movies MCU Rewatch of Spider-Man 2. It's your host, T-Will, and my guy, Jordan Burton, with the Philly shirt on. Jordan, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Doing well, sir. Do you care to give us why you chose this particular jersey and uniform today in correlation to our presentation of Spider-Man 2?
Yeah, so look, Eagles are obviously one of my favorite sports teams. And Namni Asimo is trash. Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is trash. So there's my review of the movie.
Whoa. Okay. Well, after watching it a couple times, sir, I really can't disagree with you. There will probably be a little disparity in the scoring, but this is not the best Spider-Man movie. But hey, let's get into it. Today we are talking The Amazing Spider-Man 2, released in circa 2014. And I guess the main question is Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Jordan, is it overhated or overstuffed? See what I did there? Is it overhated or overstuffed? And we'll get into it. But hey, man, this is the second movie with Andrew Garfield. Of course, we've already gone over The Amazing Spider-Man.
We both like that movie. So I mean,
I like Andrew Garfield. I think where this movie goes wrong is there is a clear agenda to start an Amazing Spider-Man universe. And that's fine if it's not obvious that there's a clear agenda to start an Amazing Spider-Man universe. The Sonny Vaio product placement all up and through the movie. This was a walking commercial for Sony. You know what I mean? Oh, buy more stuff. Oh, and it's different if it's subtle, right? But it's like, okay, let's get to the first scene. Peter's parents are on some clandestine operation. We don't find out what it is, but they obviously have to leave. They take little Petey, to, Uncle Ben and Aunt May and drop him off. And Peter's like, Dad. And his dad's like, be a good boy. And then walks off, which is, think about it. This is the last time you're going to see your son. I know you got to hold your emotions in check, but you're not going to hug him. You're not going to be like, all right, son, I'll see you there. Just be a good boy. And I don't know, maybe he had to compose himself, whatever. Okay. But anyway, if the movie was made in 2014, Peter had to be born in, what do you figure, 94? He's playing a 21-year-old kid? So he had to be born in 94, right? There were no Sonny Vaios in 94. So why is there a Sonny Vaio on the plane? I'm just saying, why, right?
That's new information. I didn't even put that together. Wow. And this movie.
why is there a Sonny Vaio on the plane? And secondly, well, okay. What I will give you is he was about 4 or 5, maybe 6 or whatever. So there could have been Ethernet on the plane. I'll give you that. There could have been. Now that had to be a pricey plane. I mean, there was some money spent on that private jet to have that in '98. Okay,
but that laptop was also moving around all over the place too.
I know,
the
right?
entire
And you
time.
still had the opportunity to upload it and whatever. Yeah. Okay, whatever. But yeah, for me, it was the corporate interference that ran into the plot. And I think that's why, in my opinion, Sony has such a hard time, because their agenda is not necessarily to make a good movie, for at least in this one. To me, their agenda was to sell products. To me, their agenda was to set up this whole Spider-Man universe. And you know what? That has to be organic, right? That has to be organic. You just can't go into it saying, "Oh, we're going to set up a 3, 4, 5 picture deal." You can't, right? There's so many. That to me is the negative piece to this movie, is the fact that you can clearly see they were doing everything that they could to set up the Sinister Six, when really what they should have been doing is, if you were going to kill off Gwen Stacy, that should have been the focal point of the story. There were way too many plot points in this, but we'll get to that. Movie opens with Peter Parker still being Spider-Man, doing his thing. Also,
really quick with that, the opening for Peter. I didn't notice this until, like, I guess Twitter got a hold of it like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, probably around the time we were preparing for No Way Home. And in the opening shot, he's like, it's visually, it's a stunning shot. Because you transition from the logo to the back of his suit falling. But here's the thing. He's falling from the sky, and above all the buildings, you can see all of New York. Where did he jump from? Where did he swing from?
We don't know. We don't. I was thinking that, but I'm gonna be honest with you. To me, that's one of the things they got right, was the imagery.
Yes.
The fight scenes and the imagery, just beautiful. Which is why this movie for me is such a dichotomy of good and bad. Like the scenes with Electro and the imagery, just beautiful. But some of the plot points, just god awful. And we'll get into it. So anyway, first setup, Peter is caught in the guilt loop. He's chasing down the guy who would be the Rhino, what's his name? Oh gosh, great actor, Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti is a great actor. This was not the role for him. I don't want to call him terrible, but it just felt like he overacted a little bit. Like, I am, like, is this King Lear? What are we? What are we? I'm going to kill a spider.
Like I've seen better acting in like movies from the 50s and 60s. Like I've seen better acting for it. That was like Wizard of Oz, Wicked Witch of the West type level of like exaggeration, but that made sense for that world. This is the Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I think because Paul Giamatti is a phenomenal actor.
Great
actor. Was in that Showtime series. What is it? About the stockbroker these two go after each other. I can't remember, but great actor. So it's either the way he wrote it, the way it was written, or the way he interpreted. Either way, for me, that's a miss. That's just a miss. You know what I mean? A lot of overacting in that. Oh, I'm going to kill you, Spider-Man. I'm like, are you serious? And why, when we give Rhino a suit, why is he? You and I were talking about this. Why does he need a gun? Why does he need a machine gun? Like, I don't get it. But whatever. Sony being Sony. But anyway, as he's, the opening scene, he's chasing down Paul Giamatti, and basically these these chemical packets that they've stolen, maybe from Oscorp. I think they did steal it from Oscorp, but he's trying to get them back anyway. This is before graduation, and the main thing that jumps out to me in this scene is that he looks over, and there's a cop car that's riding parallel to him as he's trying to stop Paul Giamatti and happen to hitch a ride along with the truck. And he sees Gwen's dad. And they open this way to show you that the guilt is eating him alive, right? Like he made a promise as Gwen's dad was dying. His dying declaration was, look, just leave my daughter out of it. I know that there's a need for you in this city, but you're going to have enemies. And I don't want my daughter caught up in this. And he loves Gwen, right? I think the good thing that they got right about this movie that I did not like in any of the first series of Spider-Man is that Mary J was all about Mary J. Mary J was one of those, you know, if you date her, she's probably going to outlive you because it's all about her, right? And the minute you stop paying attention to her, she's just going to go find somebody else. It's all about her. It's her world and you live in it, as opposed to it being a you and her thing. It's her world. You're living in her world, okay? Whereas Gwen is all about Spider-Man. Even in the first one, when he's calling her and she's at the Oscorp building and he's like, the lizard is on his way, she doesn't leave because she needs to get the data or whatever she needed to get so they could reverse the effect of the virus. She stays, puts herself in mortal danger, and helps out Peter. She's all about Peter. You get what I'm saying? Yep. So that's I like the dynamic between those two because it really is a love story. It really is. But anyway, he catches of course he catches Paul Giamatti's character, who would go on to be the Rhino, and goes on for graduation.
Here's the thing about the Rhino scene.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people gloss over this. I think the most deaths in a Spider-Man film take place during that scene, because it's glossed over because Peter's doing quips and stuff with. He's like, you can call me Webhead, but you can't call me late for dinner and stuff like that.
Wasting time.
And he's like, all right, give me 1 second. He swings up and saves Electro, or what soon would be Electro.
Electro, right?
But Paul Giamatti's Rhino is running into oncoming traffic, and there are cars exploding. There are cars exploding. I mean, these people could have survived, but they would have gotten like 3rd-degree burns.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm like, we're glossing over the fact that a lot of people died in this scene, but with the way the music's done, the way the non-diegetic music is done, the way his quips are and the dialogue, it makes it gloss over that whole fact right there. That a lot of people died.
Let me ask you a question about that. Do you think that is intentional, or do you think that's just lazy writing and they're setting up really him leaving Paul Giamatti to save Jamie Foxx as a plot device to set up the connection between he and Peter?
Little both. I think it's late. I think it's both. Because it's lazy. They were definitely setting up the Jamie Foxx and Electro and saving him for later. And they didn't really know how to do that, so it made sense in this moment. But also they were so focused on that they were like, all right, let's just make him like continue driving through these people, and let's create more explosions. A Michael Bay exclusive. And Michael Bay obviously didn't do this film, but like Michael Bay's known for his explosions, and it makes things look really cool sometimes. And it looked really cool in the moment. But no. And yeah, the most deaths, I haven't Googled it, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head, going through both trilogies, this duology, and I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the most deaths in a Spider-Man film in a moment, in a single scene, probably happened right here.
And that kind of flies in the face as to what Spider-Man is about. That's the other thing. Spider-Man, comic Spider-Man would never do that. Ever do that. So
he always found a way. He always found a way.
Well, and he's not gonna he wouldn't do that. Just bottom line. And look it, people die. It is unrealistic in that scenario when you have someone just speeding gallantly through traffic, just all cavalier and bring on all comers. Somebody's going to die. But to your point, you want to minimize the casualties. And I don't think comic book Spider-Man does that. I don't think your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man does that. I don't think the Spider-Man in either of the other two Spider-Man series does that. I think it's limited to just, you guessed it, Sony. So anyway, he obviously saves Max Dillon during this encounter, and he says, "Hey, Max," and Max clearly has some developmental issues, or I shouldn't even say developmental issues, but he clearly has a personality that is, shall we say, unique? Yeah. Let's say he's unique. His main thing is that nobody sees him, right? Nobody sees him. His boss is borderline disrespectful. Like, yeah, we need you to stay. There's a such and such on such and such. It's like, but it's my birthday. But I think, sometimes you just got to be assertive. You know what I mean? Because I'd have told him, hey, bro, you can kick rocks. I'm not staying. I'm not doing that. But that's not in his nature. And so a large part of his character arc and transition is going from nobody sees me to everybody sees me, right? Which we'll get into that later. But anyway, Peter shows up at the graduation. Gwen's already given her speech, right? And it starts, for me, the theme of this movie between Peter and Gwen is the back and forth on and off, but also because I'm Spider-Man, I can't show up for you, right? Like, this is her speech. She's the valedictorian. That is going to happen once in her lifetime. And I get that you're Spider-Man, and I get it, but it just sets up this, I gotta go be big bad Spider-Man. I can't show up for you. Right. And that's a part of their dynamic, which she doesn't even mind. Right. But he shows up for graduation, and he shows up for graduation in style. I love the way he pimped on that stage, got his diploma, and plants a wet kiss all over her. And that was cool. Okay. That was cool. If I was dating Kim in high school, I would have done that. Okay. Because I think that's cool. Now, she probably would have punched me, but I would have done that. I definitely would have done that. I would have gone up on that stage. I'd have grabbed her. That's just cool. That's cool to see. You know what I mean? I dug that.
And one note about her speech, because this is, in my opinion, the only part of the movie that really hints at her death. And I didn't really notice this the first time I saw this. I just thought, because in general, her speech can be applied to any given Spider-Man film because Peter loses a lot of people in his life.
Right.
So it's not, especially after the first film, we already lost Uncle Ben. We lost the police commissioner.
His parents.
Yeah. So we lost so much in the first film. So like having her speech be about like how fragile life can be and stuff like that, I was like, it makes sense. It totally makes sense for any Spider-Man film.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, this is the only hint that we really get that she could die in this film. And it's in the first like 3 minutes of seeing Spider-Man back again. And then she goes and dies in the last like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So
would you say that's foreshadowing, or is that just a little hint? Like, are they?
That's like foreshadowing at its like smallest. That's a grain of sand level of foreshadowing, because they should have done more in hinting at her death. Whether they should actually, if that the plan all along was to do it in the second film, they probably should have started in the first film. And I think they do one time, but one single time, where when after she finds out that he's Spider-Man, and he swings away, she says, "Oh, I'm in trouble," and that's really
you did mention that when we did the part. You did mention that. Yeah, that's a good catch. You did mention.
That's really it. There's not anything else that that really hints at her death, which is why. But when this movie ended, I was just so like, I wasn't like sad or anything. I was just like, are we really doing this? Like, this is kind of stupid.
Okay. So graduation happens, and it's interesting because Peter and Aunt May have a moment where she's like, "I wish your Uncle Ben was here," and she quotes something that he told her that he took credit for, and it was really a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, which I thought, okay, that's kind of funny, or cute. It's more cute, but anyway, Gwen comes over to Peter, and Aunt May gets a picture or whatever, and then Gwen's mom is telling her to come over and take a picture, and he feels guilty because he can see her dad's shadow with them at that moment, looking at him like, you promised me, you so-and-so, and the guilt is eating him up. It is eating him alive. And this is the main conflict for Peter and Gwen, is that I love you, I don't want to put you in danger, and I made a promise to you. And the sad part is exactly what he fears is exactly what happens. Right? But I think a larger part of what they're trying to say is, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen. You know what I mean? There's a certain destiny to it. He did everything he could to stop her, but he fires his web on her wrist to attach her to a car. She breaks loose of the web. She drives there. She ends up saving him. But it still happened, right? So it's like, what movie was that with Halle Berry? Not Halle Berry. Oh, Jesus. Sandra Bullock. Don't ask me why I got those two confused. But anyway, Premonition. Have you seen that?
Sounds familiar. I don't think I have.
So she has a premonition that her husband dies, and she does everything she can. As a matter of fact, I think she gets to do the day over and over again. There's 100 different scenarios, but in every one of them, she finally has to accept that he's going to die.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that is I don't know if that's an intended consequence, but I think that is one of the themes of this, is that if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. Right. He does everything he can. He breaks up with her. Now, I don't know. I don't know if we want to call it Romeo and Juliet, but there's this fire between these two to where they break up, but they can't stay away from each other. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anyway, so Peter shows up to dinner, but once again, he's in. Oh my God, he doesn't want to sit down with them because he feels hypocritical. So he shows up, he doesn't come in. She's like, again. And during the conversation, we figure out that he's broken up with her several times. So that's the on again, off again. And at this point, she's like, look, I break up with you. That's enough of this. You know what I mean? I'm here. My dad's not. I know you made the promise, but I break up with you. And the one thing about Gwen, she's not only very self-aware, but she's very in tune with Peter. Because even in the first one, when he doesn't show up to her dad's funeral, a lot of women would have cut him off. But the last thing she says is, my dad told you not to date me, didn't he? She's very perceptive. She is very astute when it comes to that, right? But give me your thoughts on that. Give me your thoughts on this first scene, their interaction. Just give me your thoughts on that.
I was initially I felt great about Gwen, and I was like, yeah, like be a strong, independent woman, like be like, I'm breaking up with you. Well, you're not breaking up with me. I'm breaking up with you. I was like, heck yeah, like let's go. I appreciate when a love interest in a movie isn't just like this NPC saying like, "Oh, I love you" and stuff like that. No, be a character, be a human being, and stand up for yourself. So I was like, yeah, I appreciate that. But then it all gets thrown away when they get back together like 20, 30 minutes later. Literally 20, 30 minutes of screen time later. Oh, that's frustrating. That's so frustrating. That's so stupid in my opinion. And like they shouldn't have split up in the first place if you were going to kill her off. In this movie, because you already hinted that it happened in the first one, and she even says, "As you do this to me over and over again," and I'm like, so this has happened multiple times. You're telling us you guys have split up multiple times. No wonder I don't feel anything when you die. No, it's just frustrating, and to me, I guess I'm looking at it from a simple perspective that like, it's just dinner. You're not going to save even a cat out of a tree. You're just go to dinner with her, just talk with her after, talk with her or the next day maybe, and have this conversation. It's just dinner, because by you not showing up, you're also not showing up not just for her but also for her family. So their perception of you moving forward is going to be, this kid's garbage.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want this kid anywhere near my daughter.
Right.
And so even if she did survive, I don't know how her family's like, yeah, I support this kid. No. It's kind of annoying, because like it like this scene sort of makes sense, and I love it from Gwen's perspective. And this is, in my opinion, Gwen's got a lot of good scenes in these two movies and overall, just when it comes to all love interest for Spider-Man, Gwen does a great job in these two movies. But this part of her standing up for herself, I was like, yeah, I'm all on board. I don't think I liked Gwen more than in this moment right here.
Yeah, I mean, she
and then it gets thrown away.
I mean, good for her. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I felt that in that moment. Like you know, on again, off again. You're doing me like a yo-yo. Like, no, I'm getting off this ride. You know what I mean? But he's just, I guess what hurts. He's doing it to protect. He really is doing it to protect her. And I know he's kind of wishy-washy, but I understand guilt. You get what I'm saying? I understand, like, bro, every time I'm out here, I'm seeing your dad, and he's giving, and it's not like he's giving him warm, like, good job, son. He's looking at him with disgust.
And it all gets thrown away. All of it gets thrown away too. Every single, like, everything in this scene gets thrown away like 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later. All of it.
But isn't but that's, I mean, look, man, especially young love. I get it. I get it. Like, they're both in college. You know what I mean? I get it. That's a part of young love. Like, I understand that.
And so they should have done one of two things. They should have either they should have been started this movie broken up, like from the first film, and which would have been really easy. And because you don't even need to explain it. You could have had like just an awkward moment between them maybe after graduation. You could have been like, yeah, they're friends or something. You could have done anything like that, but know that they're broken up to start this film. And then when you get to that scene where they get back together, it makes total sense. And you're rooting for them. And then it also makes her death better.
That's true.
You could have just not had them break up in this movie.
Yeah.
And again, would have been smoother.
That's fair. That's a fair point. I think it sets up the theme love versus responsibility, or the conflict love versus responsibility that's reinforced throughout it. Let's talk about Max Dillon, right? So Max is a socially awkward Oscorp engineer. He's ignored, he's disrespected, he's forgotten. His birthday passes unnoticed. Nobody gives him anything. His boss is a jerk. And then here comes Spider-Man, who we find out he's obsessed with later, right? But Max is crossing the street. Hey, nothing to see here. Hey, guys, excuse me. And during the exchange with, who would go on to be the Rhino, Max gets knocked down, and Peter or Spider-Man saves his life, picks up his blueprints or whatever, and Spider-Man calls him by name. And this is important because Max is virtually unseen throughout his entire life. Nobody sees him. And I don't know if you want to call him a man crush, but the guy he most wants to be recognizes him and says, "Hey, Max, here you go." And he's like, "You know my name?" He's like, "It's on your name tag." He was like, "Nobody sees me." He was like, "I need you, buddy. I need you." You know what I mean? And Max takes this. It's like looking at one of these Lifetime movies where, the main guy sees this woman who's, got some issues or whatever. She's a recluse. And he says, "I love being around you." And she's like, "Oh, you love me." And she goes on this quest to, you know what I mean? And now she's got this crush. And it's kind of like that, in that clearly Max is not one with reality, or his reality is not aligned with the rest of us, right? So he's this recluse. He lives in his own world. He's invisible. And on his birthday, his boss is like, "Well, we've got this thing on aisle whatever upstairs. You need to fix it." And he's like, "It's my birthday." And his boss is like, "Yeah, whatevs. See ya." Elevator closes. And I'm like, what a jerk, man. And so Max is up there, doing his repairs. And here's the thing that kind of bothered me. He's an engineer. I don't think he makes the mistake that he makes in this movie. Like, to me, you needed a different set of cosmic circles. And I understand it's your birthday, but I just don't think he makes that kind of mistake. You know what I mean? Like, you put this contraption together. I said contraption. This whatever. You put it together, and then you make the mistake of touching a live hot wire. You're an electrical engineer. You're not going to do that. That was one of the things. I'm like, whatever. Okay. He ends up getting shocked, falls down through 2 or 3 layers into a vat of electrical eels. Ouch. Okay. And obviously they shock him to death, or so we think. Give me your thoughts on this scene, on everything that took place, on the setup. Just give me your thoughts on it.
Why did they make him blue?
I don't know.
What? Like, I to this day, I think to myself, why is he blue? And I've seen edits people have made where he's in yellow. I'm like, yeah, that's Electro. But on it, when I first saw the trailers for this movie, I had no idea who he was, what villain he was supposed to be. Had no idea until I saw a couple things like the lightning coming out, and I was like, all right, that makes he's Electro, I guess.
Right.
And I should not be questioning who a villain is. The Spider-Man Noir trailer just came out yesterday or 2 days ago. Beautiful peak. This is in a universe that I'm not familiar with whatsoever, but I can tell you all the villains that I saw in the trailer. I couldn't tell you who Electro is supposed to be. Anyways, getting to this scene, yeah, you're 100% right. He shouldn't be making that mistake because he's an engineer. He should know like what the heck he's doing. He's also kind of a klutz. I am too. I just ran into a door on Wednesday at work. That was fun. Actually, maybe Thursday at work. I was like, yeah, I just laugh it off. Whatever, it happens. So it happens. I that part I understand, and that's why he kind of ends up falling into the pit. I thought we were gonna get more a look at his. I thought he was gonna be more schizophrenic, in terms of his Electro, just because we do see hints of that with just him like almost like imagining scenarios, but the scenarios never actually happen.
Right.
So I figured I was very intrigued when I first saw this movie. I'm like, okay, we're gonna see a very different Electro. We're gonna see more of the schizophrenic side of it. And I was very intrigued by that, but we didn't. We ultimately did not. Which I was like, what was the point of all of that in the beginning then? I mean, it was kind of like pushing a dull narrative that's like, oh, well, he was put down on this low, he was put down beneath everybody, and so finally he has the power above everyone, so he's having this like comeback, and I'm like, that's like every movie ever. Mm-hmm. I mean, that happens with almost every antagonist ever. So it was just, they were setting up also that obsession with Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. As soon as he becomes Electro, it after that quick New York scene, it really goes away. Like, we don't. If you think about your favorite athlete, right? You think about your favorite athlete, and then you go and meet that athlete, and they're just mean to you, and you look at them completely different, and they're no longer your favorite athlete. Right. You're still gonna think about them in that same light that you used to. You're gonna see you're gonna do certain things. You might see certain things where you're like, yeah, I mean, like, I just wish he wasn't like this mean dude, which, I mean, that's Allen Iverson, by the way. Anybody who meets Allen Iverson in person, that's all I've heard is bad things. I mean, the dude doesn't even show to cancer patient events, but that's my own stories. And I have other stories of people meeting Allen Iverson, but I won't get into that right now.
Oh, wow.
But it's like, we don't see that at all. We don't even see that in Spider-Man No Way Home, and that part was just frustrating. He turns into a completely different person when he becomes Electro. As soon as he becomes Electro, and where he's like acted differently by Jamie Foxx. He just doesn't. He doesn't have that nerdy vibe. Like, he's a nerd. Now I can say that because I'm also a nerd.
Nerds rule, man. As am I. As my wife said, nerds rule the world, baby.
Had a conversation with someone earlier this week. They're like, nerds are weird. I'm like, all the billionaires in this world are all nerds.
There you go.
So we all nerd about something. It's just plain and simple. Even if someone says they're not a nerd, they definitely nerd out about something. Anything. Anyways, like, he's a nerd. So that just seems to go away completely in all of the rest of the movies. Now, in Spider-Man No Way Home, we do see he does have intellect in terms of when he's talking about like some of the devices that are used, in terms of like the device he's using for that Peter's trying to use for his chest to try and make him not Electro anymore. Like, he is smart, but we don't see the nerdy side. You can be smart and you can be nerdy, but those are two different things.
Yeah.
You can't you can be smart and nerdy, but you can also be nerdy without being smart, and you can also be smart without being nerdy. And that's where he was nerdy, but then as soon as he became Electro, it's like that nerdy side got pushed away, and he's just smart.
I think he felt betrayed, but I tell you what else is interesting. So when he becomes Electro, it straightens his teeth. Like, I never noticed that before. I never noticed that before. And I'm like, we don't need braces anymore. Somebody just needs to shock the hell out of us, and there you go. You know what I mean? Just put that entire industry out of business. It's crazy.
Yeah,
but I think he feels betrayed. So where I would kind of disagree with you is he feels betrayed because, you know, whether he's schizophrenic, he's got some deficiency, right? Because he's in the beginning, he's obsessed with Peter, and he becomes Electro, and his initial ascension, he doesn't start out a villain. He's trying to understand himself, and he needs to draw from certain power sources to survive. So initially, when he's making his trek through the city and he's setting off car alarms and you know, basically taking all the juice from these cars, he needs that to kind of survive. He's figuring out who he is, right? And when the cop says something to him, he's kind of listening, but he's like, oh my God, this power grid. Oh man, he's hungry. He needs sustenance. So he, you know what I mean? So when Peter shows up, he's kind of like, oh, there's Spider-Man. So-and-so, you met me. And he's like, oh, who are you again? And he's like, Max, right, that's right. And so they start to build on this thing. And as they are having this discussion, one of the New York City police officers fires on him. And that's the first thing that pisses him off, because he's like, wait a minute, right? And then he says, you lied to me. And the other thing that happens as he and Spider-Man are having this discourse, Electro's picture is everywhere in Times Square, right? And he had never been seen before. And he's like, they see me. So he does become a different person, because his arc is going from being invisible to everyone seeing him, to being this loud, colorful, electric entity that everybody sees. He goes from this dull spoon that nobody sees with this comb over, God, that hairdo was awful, to being this big, literally electric personality that everyone sees, and he feels betrayed. So his love becomes angst. You get what I'm saying? Now, is that realistic? Probably not. Probably not. There'd probably be a little bit of both. Yeah, I'm mad at you and whatever. And I don't know that we get enough one-on-one time with Electro and him processing certain things. We get that with Max Dillion, but we don't get to understand Electro's mechanisms, but through other characters, right? Through Harry and through whatever. So I'll give you that.
And that introduces him as we're to this point in the movie, we think he's the main villain. And honestly, for a large portion of this movie, we still think he's the main villain. We follow him as if he's the main villain.
Right.
But because we don't see more one-on-one time with him, it is almost like, I mean, they clearly set him up to not be the main villain. Even though he's on all of the posters, all of the advertising for this movie, all of everything, he is not the main villain of this movie. And that's stupid. That's a stupid choice. That might be one of the dumbest choices that Sony has made with a Spider-Man project. And because if you are going to have a goblin in a Spider-Man movie, that thing better be on every single poster, on everywhere. And like, he's on the DVD case, but that's like the DVD case.
After the fact, right?
Yeah. So that thing you could have literally, because everybody's seen the Spider-Man 2002, which is in my opinion why they shouldn't have done this so early, because this movie came out in 2014 and 2007 was the last time we saw a Goblin. It was Harry Osborn, also Harry Osborn as Goblin. So that's sort of fresh in people's minds. I give it like I don't like to reboot characters and stuff. I usually give like 10-year gap, because I think it was even rushed going from Toby to Garfield and Garfield to Holland. But I think 10 years is enough that people can move on. And I think that's still fresh in people's minds, especially because this is the second film. That means 2 Spider-Man films ago, we had a Goblin. And then 2 films before that, we had a Goblin. So maybe, just maybe, we should take a little break from the Goblin. But if you were going to do it, that thing, you better have his face on everything.
Yeah, he needs to be and you need to know it from start to finish.
Yes. And with Electro just being like this side character, also we'll probably get into it, but we don't see Harry until a half hour into this movie,
right?
And that's just
let's you know what, let's get into it. So for me, there are a lot of things wrong with this film, but one of the main ones is you don't bring Harry in until we are well into the movie. And we see Harry meet his father. Well, we see Harry going in to see his father, Norman Osborn. I presume to say his goodbyes because he's dying. And with his dying declaration, he tells him, "Oh, congratulations, you have this disease that, are you starting to get the tremors yet? Yeah, you're going to die and you're going to be disfigured. And by the way, here's all the research. Good day," right? And this is one of the many things that I don't like about this movie. Now, when I went back and watched it, because I watched this 3 times, I knew how you felt about it, and so I needed to match the astuteness that you have, because I know you hate this movie. So I did a lot of preparation. But the one thing I saw is that Norman does say to him, "I started doing things to survive." Because the one thing that bugged me about this movie is Norman lived 50 years with this, and Harry all of a sudden has this advanced case to where, you know, in some scenes, he looks like he's had this thing for 12, 15 years, and it just starts literally when he goes to see his father on his deathbed. And so I didn't like that. It felt rushed. It felt like it was a plot device to get Harry to ask for Peter's blood to set up the conflict. And I still feel that way. I still feel like it is, I don't want to call it retconning, but I feel like it's lazy writing in that, oh, you have this disease, and so we're going to, it's going to be advanced in your case, because that way you have to ask for Peter's blood, and that's going to set up the betrayal. And the thing about betrayal is, if it's organic, it's like watching some of these soap operas, right? When they manifest conflict. I hate that. What do you mean you watch Netflix before me? What is this? Why do you think you can do that? You're so controlling. Oh my God, bro, come on. It's not that serious. Who argues over that? That's stupid, right? But they do that in these shows all the time. They manifest conflict because, again, they can't have a couple be happy and love each other. That's boring. There's got to be conflict, and it's fine if it's organic, but when you manifest it, it's just that. It's not real. It's manifested, right? And it feels like this entire plot where Harry is concerned is inorganic and manifested because why would this disease that took 50 years to kill Norman kill him in a year? Why is there, you get what I'm saying? It's like, okay, we're gonna speed this up. We're gonna expedite this. I didn't like it. It felt like it was Big Brother. It felt like it was everything wrong about this movie. It felt like the corporate arm of Sony trying to advance the cause, and I didn't like it. And I think the other thing that they were trying to do was they were trying to surprise. It's not Electro, it's Harry, but it just comes off as we're peddling products. We're peddling agendas. We're trying to set you up for the Sinister Six. That's how I saw it. Give me your thoughts on it. And look, I'm going to give you all the, because I know you got to go on your rant. I know it's coming. Floor is yours, buddy. Let's go.
I am frustrated. I like Dane DeHaan, who plays Harry in this. I liked him in the movie Chronicle. So when I heard he was going to be in this movie as Harry Osborn. I'm not a huge fan of the stereotypical Harry Osborn, where he's kind of like this like nerd who's just like not that good looking, and like I'm not a huge fan of that. I actually prefer like the James Franco style of Harry Osborn, mainly because that's what made that trilogy so great, is that like both Toby and James Franco, like they were friends, and obviously James Franco's probably going to get more of the girls. So right. when Peter does get the girl, when Toby's Peter does get the girl, it's like, oh, like, good job, man. We were rooting for you. So I'm just not. I've never been a huge fan of that. And I saw a tweet actually earlier this week that's like, I can't believe Sam Raimi spun around the Peter and Harry dynamics, and it worked. And I'm like, yeah, I actually really enjoy that probably more, because it makes more sense to me. Because like otherwise I don't care for Harry, because Harry has the money, he's got the power, or you throw in charm and whatever you want to get the girls and stuff like that. Make him this like guy who thinks he has it all, this privileged person. That way, when he does fall to earth, it makes it that much better, because then he doesn't quite understand what Peter goes through on a daily basis, so that when he does fall, it makes it that much sweeter. And like with Dane DeHaan, with his Harry Osborn, they try to make him more relatable by having this like disease and stuff like that, and you're like, okay, whatever. But he seems so stuck up that like yeah, I'm the CEO of Oscorp, and I'm taking over for my dad, and I'm like,
that's contempt though. That's contempt, because dad sent him off to boarding school, right?
Yeah.
So in that deathbed confession, whatever, he says to him, "You sent me a bottle of scotch for my 16th birthday. You shipped me off to boarding school." And his dad is like, "Oh, Harry, you have such potential. You wasted." So he's got anger with his dad, right? So his dad dies. What's he gonna feel towards his company? So that's and I agree, he is being a bit of a tool, but I think it's because he feels like this company took my dad away from me. Right? If it's not for this company, you know what I mean? At least doesn't make it right, but that's part of the impression that I got. But I will give you, he does come across a little smug. And you know what's interesting? When he and Peter link up again after his dad dies, he goes, "So you got your braces off. Now you only have the unibrow." And he turns around and he's like, "There he is. There he is." He was like, "You still have your guys blow drying your hair?" And he's like, "I've got my manservants." but at least I comb it. I do comb it through. And they have this thing to where they hug each other, but you can tell that this has been a thing that they've teased each other, right? So Peter coming from humble beginnings, Harry being rich, that's clearly been a theme of their relationship, and they're able to joke about it. Because when he says you got your braces off, now you just got the unibrow, Peter turns around instantly because their initial encounter is awkward, right? And so Peter turns around and is like, there he is. I knew he was there. You know what I mean? And you can see the ice break with them. Now, what follows is a little bit on the nose with the whole montage and my buddy. Not that they sing that, but that's the feel you get, right? I know we haven't seen each other in 10 years, but let's go and skip rocks and be buds again, and let's talk about it. And nothing about this is awkward, and nothing about this is leading up to an agenda to where we really hate each other because that's what Sony needs. Nothing about that at all, right? Did not really care for the montage. I do like their discussion about Gwen. I do like that, but I didn't particularly care for the montage scene. Give me your thoughts on the montage scene.
So yeah, I like their dynamic. It's just I've never seen this. They're clearly hinting at something I haven't seen before, between just their dynamic and stuff. And when I watched this, I'm like, when was the last time they saw each other? Because like we saw Peter in high school. My guess is they might not have seen each other since, maybe like what, middle school,
first grade, third. No more
has
than
it been that
grade.
Like these are two completely different people, like right. And I think both characters need to understand that, like right. If that would be the equivalent to me right now seeing someone from middle school and
right.
That I haven't seen since middle school and trying to reconnect. We are two completely different people in our lives.
Right.
So, I don't know how long they knew each other for that. I mean, clearly it wasn't very long. I mean, if you think Peter was probably like 5 or 6 when he left his parents, let's say they met in kindergarten, and he's
got to be gone by 11, 12. By 11, 12, he's got to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's 6, 7 years. Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know. I've known a lot of people in school for 6 or 7 years, and and I'm like, if I saw them now, I'd be like, oh, hey, how's it going? But like, I don't think I'd have this. It seems like they haven't seen each other in like 2 years with the way they're talking with one another, but it's been a lot longer than that. So, it's just, I don't know. It's always been something in the back of my head that's like, all right, when was the last time they saw each other? Like, these are two different people. That's something that I think a lot of movies get wrong. Is that like, they don't understand that people move on with their lives. It's flashing back to the beginning of the movie, why I love what Gwen does, not being an NPC and standing her ground. Love that. That's making a character be a character and be their own character and not a side character. And what they do is like stereotypical. And they don't like, it's not like Peter or Harry have gone on to live separate lives, because it feels like they didn't. It feels like they're reconnecting as if nothing happened.
Right.
They're not catching up on too much. They're talking about Spider-Man. Peter does say like I saw you went like on a magazine or something like that, and he's like, yeah, that photo shoot was exhausting. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, you're so pretentious. I hate you so much.
Supermodels. It's exhausting. Yeah.
I'm like, I hate him so much.
I think he's poking fun at him.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
I do think he is. But I'm like, I'm like, oh God, I'm like, whatever, man.
Yeah.
Because I know some people who are like that. They're like, oh man, yeah, I had to go do this today. I'm like, yeah, that seems so hard. It seems so hard that you're doing that. Yeah, so I know a few people who are like that.
I know
And
people on both sides though. I know people who really are clueless and they're like, "Oh, I had to do this," and they really want sympathy. And to me, it seems like Harry's poking fun at it. So he's at least self-aware.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like he's not like some, oh, I had to do this and really looking for sympathy.
Also, where are they at a carnival or like they're over by like in I don't know where they're at. I don't know how we got here. It's like, hey buddy, I haven't seen you in a while. Let's go throw rocks in the lake.
And throw rocks and
this seems very romantic. Kind of weird. I mean that's something that's like a first date type of thing. Like it's kind of odd.
Playing up the bromance angle.
I'm not. I'm just thinking like huh, maybe I should take this girl on a date over here.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
I'm not like it doesn't play out like that whatsoever. I'm just saying it's a scene jump that I don't understand fully. Like it would make sense if they just simply went on a walk outside of the building.
Or maybe they went to the fair when they were kids. You know what I mean? I don't know. But
that's where we're just like jumping to conclusions.
That's true.
But
that's
like
fair. That's fair.
But we do hint at like Spider-Man and stuff, and Peter's like Spider-Man or woman. We never know. We'll never know.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. I was like, yeah, he's right. I like it.
Well, he's trying to throw Harry off there. He's you know, because he doesn't because Harry knows that he takes pictures of him, right?
Yeah.
So he's trying to throw, you know, that's Peter saying, I don't really want you to like know who I am, because Harry is a friend. He's not thinking of Harry as an enemy there. So he's thinking, Harry, you don't need to know this. I'm protecting you. That's why Spider-Man or woman, you never know, right? But
and then they also talk about just he's like, you got a girl, and he's like, yes, maybe. No, it's complicated. And I like that he adds the it's complicated thing, because it does show that. I mean, we do see it earlier when Peter's kind of like stalking her. Which I'm trying to think. I don't think I've seen Spider-Man stalk anyone in live action before. I'm pretty sure first movie, no. Second movie, no.
Protecting her. He's protecting her.
She's at a coffee shop. Is he protecting her from being poisoned?
Wasn't the first Spider-Man at a coffee shop when Doc Ock shows up hurling cars?
Yeah, second one. But they were both in the coffee shop. Oh, I see what you're doing there. I see what I get it. But like is he gonna be like, oh okay, I want to make sure like he's it's stalking, and okay. even she hints at it later. She's like that coffee shop just opened up.
Right.
Yeah. I was like, oh, she caught you. She's smart. She's smart. I like that.
She's very smart. She's very smart. Gwen is my favorite.
Why did she die? Like, here's the thing. Like, I was in this movie. I'm like, oh, I'm really starting to like you a lot. Like, but not to the point that I'm like that I would get overly emotional if you died. Like I'm like, all right, you're doing little things that I'm like, yeah, I'm digging you. It's just little parts of dialogue. There's nothing like if this happened with Mary Jane in the first 3 Toby movies, I'd understand, because I've seen her have those long dialogue scenes, and I've gotten used to her character. I've seen what she's going through at home and stuff, and her long, like what she's had to go through in life personally, not from a relationship perspective, because she sucks at that.
She's awful.
But so if that happened to her, I would have been heartbroken. But with Gwen, I don't really get too many. They try to do it a little bit where she gets the phone call where she's going to Oxford. I don't, but it's like whatever. That's another plot point. Let's add that to the list of plot points in this movie. Gwen is trying to go to Oxford.
That's when I knew they were gonna kill her.
Yeah,
that's when they're like, oh, I'm like, okay, they're gonna.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, not the first time I saw it, but going back looking at it, I'm like, it's clear at that point they're going to kill her off because,
Anyways, getting back to what I was initially saying, with their conversation where he says it's complicated, it still shows that like they're not together, but he's not willing to move on, and he just doesn't want to. It's not that it like, and that's where it just sucks being Peter Parker, because you have to be Spider-Man, and like everybody's gonna tell him, like Aunt May's gonna tell him, Harry's gonna tell him, anybody's gonna tell him that like, why did you guys break up? Like why not just go for it? Like you're clearly not like doing well and stuff like that. And so it's something that only Peter can go through, and it sucks. So I really appreciate the just simple. It's complicated. It's not yes or no. It's complicated.
Yeah. So let's talk about one of my favorite actresses, Sally Field. I just love her. I think if I ever met her, I'd just give her a big old hug. I know she doesn't know me, but there's this warmth that just comes from her that is conveyed in every film that she can be quirky. First of all, back in the day, she was beautiful. Okay, I love me some Sally Field. Sally Field was Gidget way back in the day. And also in Smokey and the Bandit, which you've never seen, correct?
I have not.
We must correct that. That is 1 and 2 are great. Okay, Smokey and the Bandit 1 and 2 are kind of like Godfather 1 and 2, in that they're beautiful. Okay, now Smokey and the Bandit 3 should never been made, just like Godfather 3 should. They're abominations. And if you ever watch them, avoid the third movie, because it's not worth it, and you will lose years off your life. It's just not worth it. But anyway, there's a conflict, and it comes up at the graduation where Peter's like, she's like, I wish your Uncle Ben was here, and he's like, yeah, my parents, and she kind of looks at him like, ew, like, you know what I mean? So there's kind of that we see for the first time that she kind of has some resentment towards Peter's parents. And we find out that, when they go on this clandestine rendezvous to get away, that a couple days after, the government shows up and makes some accusations. And, again, Uncle Ben and Aunt May are baby boomers. They trust the government. They trust everything they say. So she believes them. And she's got, she says to him, your parents just left, and you were my boy. And I had to wipe your boo-boos and help you do your homework and make you brush your teeth. And you're my boy. You're my boy. And I'm not going to hurt you, because for me to tell you this secret is going to hurt you. And I'm not going to do that. And we really see that, she really looks at him like a son, like she loves him. Right. And he says, look, nobody can ever replace you, but I need to know the full story. And of course, he finds the whatever coin token or whatever for this secret train that apparently, is it Teddy Roosevelt? Somebody took, was it Teddy the one that had polio, that did the train that they had made secretly for him so nobody would know he had polio? And this just feels ridiculous. This is a plot line that we did not need throughout this. And I felt like, if you wanted to say that this was Peter's dad and in the first one, I'm fine with that. It gave us a different vantage point. But the fact that we arrive at the point that the spiders were genetically what am I looking for? Allotted to his DNA, that they were connected to his DNA, that the only way that they could make it work on a human is to use his DNA. And so now Peter Parker is genetically predisposed. Again, it flies in the face of everything that is Spider-Man. That is if there is one thing that really made me go ugh about this, it's that the beautiful thing about Spider-Man is it is a random occurrence, because Spider-Man could be anybody. Spider-Man is your local neighborhood Spider-Man. He's a good dude. He is the personification of what happens when a very good dude is imbued with very good powers, and that is fundamental to his story. And so to do that flies in the face of this, and it's just bad. It's bad writing, it's bad interpretation, it's bad character management, and I didn't like it. If I had to compare Sony, who was your offensive coordinator last year for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Oh, Kevin Patullo.
Sony is the Kevin Patullo of movie manufacturers, because they just
want to hear that name.
They don't know the talent. They don't know the talent that they have. They don't know how to use it. They don't know. Like, to me, that's almost irresponsible, Jordan. That's like I can't even think of what that's like. That's like Batman killing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, you know, there are some iterations of Batman later on killing, but a part of Batman being Batman is he is a stone's throw away from the people that he goes after, but he does not kill. That is a rigorous part of his code.
Mm-hmm.
And you take that code away from Batman, he's like he's basically a villain, right? It's integral to the character. And so to take away that randomness, that element of random, I don't know, good luck, occurrence, happenstance, kismet, serendipity, you're taking away from the character. I hated that. Give me your thoughts on that.
This was my main issue with one of my big issues with Madam Web, is this Web of Destiny idea. That's what they called it in Madam Web, so that's what I'm gonna call it in this. Because Madam Web as a character is essential to Spider-Man, because she sees all the Spider-Man, but I've never cared for Madam Web all that much. I didn't care for her in the comics. I don't care for her in the movie. When I heard they were making a movie, I'm like, why? What? This is going to be too stupid. And it was worse than I thought. And with Spider-Man, any iteration of Spider-Man that the character is destined to be Spider-Man from birth, ends up being one of the worst iterations of the character, whether that's in the comics, whether that's in animated shows, whether that's in live action films. Any iteration that shows like he was always meant to be Spider-Man. The whole point of Peter Parker, Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy, is that anybody can go put on that suit. Anybody can get bitten by a spider and put on that suit and go and become Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, and Spider-Girl. Well, any version of Spider-Man. And that's what I relate to in the character so much. That's what I love about the character, is that it could be anyone. That's what I love. That's why, I mean, Peter Parker, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero, is because like I just related to him, that like even this like poor kid from New York can go and save the world. So when you create this destiny thing, it immediately eliminates everybody else in the world from becoming Spider-Man. That nobody else could have been Spider-Man, and that rubs me the wrong way. and that's what like you're eliminating like the whole friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's basically saying there can only be one friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
There can only be one.
And I just that has never sat right with me whatsoever, and that disgusts me as a plot line. I never want to see that ever in a Spider-Man film ever. So with like Madam Web, I bring up Madam Web because Web of Destiny. That like there are different like that the spider that's all spider beings. I think that's what they call them. Are destined to become Spider-Man. And I think they do. I think like a part of it's touched on in Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, but not to the full extent. It's just this has just always rubbed me the wrong way, and it's honestly it's one of the most disgusting parts. There's a lot of bad parts of this film that I'm like truly like 0.5 out of 10 disgusted on, and this is one of them.
Yeah, no, it's bad. All right, so Harry finds out after his dad gives him the disc or whatever device that and again, so many plot points. But the other thing I noticed this time in watching it that I didn't notice the first time is that they're both on parallel arcs, right?
Yeah.
So, Harry's trying to look up what his father set aside for him as far as the cure, and he finds the disc and the fact that the blood of the spiders and all of this. And Peter also finds out that Norman Osborn framed his dad, but again, parallel arcs there. But to me, it just misses. It's a miss because it's like you said, if you were going to do the whole Harry story, you should have done it from the beginning. You shouldn't have had Electro in the film. You should have just focused on that and the Peter and Gwen story, and that be that. There are way too many plot points in this movie. And it's not only distracting, but they don't align with each other. And it kind of forces this story that's not only inorganic, but it really feels forced. It feels like, we've got to do this to get here. There's so many plot devices in here. So I didn't like that. One thing I did like were the fight scenes. I really like the fight scenes. So Harry goes to, set Electro free, and it did have its moments because when the guy is monologuing, the mustache twirling villain, I'm going to do this to you, and I'm going to do that to you, and we're going to do this. And he says, you realize that you have me, the most powered electrical being on the planet, in an electrical facility. I just want you to think about that. And he goes, yeah, but, and he's got this whole Dexter, what's that cartoon, Dexter and whatever, where he's got the accent
Dexter's
or whatever.
Laboratory.
Yeah, he's got the whole
Dexter's Laboratory.
Yeah, accent or whatever. But anyway, obviously, Harry comes and sets him free, and he's like, I need your help, Electro. I need you. You know what? I didn't like the actor's portrayal of Harry. He a good actor, but again,
he overacted this.
It feels like he was just miscast.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
He's a good actor, great actor. Like I love him in other things.
Right. Paul Giamatti's a good actor, but he was terrible in this. He was terrible. Yeah. He was the worst as the writer. I'm going who directed this? Who was like, yeah, that's it. Right there, buddy. Matter of fact, lean more into that. Give me more of that. Like, what the hell? Anyway. So yeah, he sets Electro free or whatever. Peter finally reconciles with the fact that he can't have Gwen out of his life, and he, does this dramatic gesture and sets off an I love you on whatever bridge that is, and I don't know if that's the Brooklyn Bridge. I don't know what bridge that is, but says I love you. She sees this grandiose gesture. He comes and sweeps her up, and I was really feeling it at the time. I was like, yeah, that's what love is about, man. That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about, Peter. And then he's like, I'm gonna go to London, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna kill her. they're gonna kill her. He's not going to London. Oh God. So then in the midst of that, Electro kind of shows up or whatever, and he's like, I've been having trouble with the webs or whatever, and she's like, well, did you consider a magnet? And he was like, I didn't consider that. And she was like, and that's why you're number 2. And I love that. I just love the banner between them. You obviously hated that. Let's go.
So all right. I've studied magnets a lot, and I love magnets since I was like in elementary school. So I did a lot of studying. I've done that in physics classes a lot, and like I've looked at chemistry classes, and I don't know why he didn't start with magnets in the first place. I all right, I understand from the average person, they're not gonna know that.
But he should know that, is what
he should know that.
Right.
I'm
with it. Let's go. Come on, let it out. Let it out. Let it out. Let it eat. Let's go.
Because you're like, okay, you clearly can't use any sort of electricity with your web shooters. You understand that, Chief. Okay, you got that? Right. All right, so you need to think of alternative options to use. Magnets should have been the first thing you thought of. You should have thought it, because like the magnets aren't going. I mean, they do exactly what they do in the film. When the electricity hits the magnets, I mean, electricity hits electricity. You're done. You're done for. Like, you can't use the web shooters. So magnets should have been the only other option on the table. Right. Again, the average moviegoer is not going to understand that. Right. The average person is not going to understand that. I get that. I
should have known
that. There's certain levels of like you with how smart he is from like a technological standpoint,
right.
Where
and in science as well,
physics, science, all of that.
Yeah,
he should have. I mean, he literally made a formula in the first. He solved a formula in the first movie, and you can't understand to use magnets.
Yeah.
My God.
And I agree with you, because it's like, to me, that should have been covered in the research.
Yeah.
And not only that, but if you have a love of the character, you're going to know that he would know that.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? It's like these movies where the
makes him look stupid, honestly.
Right. Well, but it's bad.
And Gwen's smart too.
Yeah,
Gwen's very smart.
But to your point, that's like a fundamental. That's like knowing that there's a hot route. Oh, there's a blitz. Okay, who's the hot route? Quarterback's gonna know that. Yeah. Should know that, right?
It's like all right. I want to put this in football perspective. What is going on with this? Mm-hmm. So it is like if you see the defense is in man coverage,
mm-hmm.
and your wide receiver is currently going on a streak,
mm-hmm.
and you decide to throw the wheel route to the running back because
mm-hmm.
the linebacker's coming on a blitz.
Right.
And then you go to and you throw to the wheel, then you go to the sideline, and your coach is like, did you think about throwing it to the guy running a streak in man coverage that can outrun the corner? And and you're like, oh, I didn't think about that. You didn't think about he's in man coverage.
Right.
He's in man coverage.
Right. With no safety
throw
help.
Throw the streak. No safety help. Throw the streak.
Yeah.
So I'm just. That's the football way of explaining it.
Right. It's like on those courtroom dramas where it's obvious that the writer has no idea of courtroom proceedings, and somebody will just make this ridiculous statement that's hearsay and the attorney doesn't make an objection. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you clearly don't understand how a courtroom works. And a part of the writing is doing the research, not only on the character, but on the material. Right? And I agree with you 100%. Peter Parker, who is an award-winning scientist, would know, would absolutely know. So not only is this lazy writing, but I feel like a dumbass because I didn't guess that. But you're
no. The average person is not going to understand. Honestly, if I polled every single person I have met in the last 2 days, or in the last 24 hours, I would bet maybe 2 or 3 of them would know. Okay. It's just not it's not common knowledge. Nobody thinks about that stuff. Yeah. It's something that I remember. I have great memory, so I remember things that happened when like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But
you do have a great memory. You do. You really do.
But like, it's just something that Peter Parker of all people, like when I look at Mr. Fantastic, if Mr. Fantastic did this too, I'd be like, what is wrong with you?
Right.
If Tony Stark did this, I'd be like, what is wrong with you? Actually, Tony Stark sort of, I mean, he re-energized. There's sort of a similar plot line in terms of like when he's going up against Whiplash and he's like, he uses the electricity to re-energize his suit now. Which then leads to the situations in like the Avengers. Anytime Thor shoots lightning at him, it re-energizes him. I'm sure magnets were involved in that, but they're just obviously not going to talk about that because it's like we have a lot more things to worry about.
Yeah. No, you're right. But the matchup between Electro and Spider-Man, I loved it. I love the. It was visually stunning. Mm-hmm. It was beautiful. Now, one thing about this movie that they got right, the stills, right, mm-hmm. where he's, you know what I mean? He's swinging from building to building. He's up in the air, and there's a scene where he's high above the towers or whatever. Not the initial scene, but he's swinging from web to web, and he's up in the air, and it just, the camera pauses, and it's beautiful. And then as he's going towards the conflict with Electro, the color scheme is beautiful. And when he arrives at the power station and the battle that it is, I love the way they set that up. That is great. That is bar none. That was excellent work, right? That, again, that kind of goes to that whole dichotomy of terrible writing and a terrible script, but the fight scenes are just excellent. I will take their fight scenes up against any movie. Just excellent. So I like the conflict that ensues. How did you feel about the itsy bitsy spider? Because some folks love it, some folks hate it. But when during their battle, when Electro reassembles himself, what'd you think about that? The itsy bitsy spider. He's like, I hate that song or whatever. What'd you think about that?
It took me like 2 years to fully understand what the heck was what he was talking about. The first time, because the first time you're watching it, it's just so funny because we were literally playing Itsy Bitsy Spider at work for a competition. That's a long story. But like, I was just like this. I'm like, this is, I don't know. It was kind of corny. You didn't need to have it in there. You didn't have to. You didn't have to have him playing any music. You could have just had him doing stuff. I don't know. That feels like where they forced too much of the diegetic music into the film, where you have music that the characters themselves can hear as well as the audience listening. So I don't know. I think you could have just made it like a non-diegetic music where like, or just make it just a bunch of noises or just like a cool pattern or something like that. But yeah, I didn't even know it was Itsy Bitsy Spider for like multiple years. Now I'm sure there's probably people who heard it first time and were like, "Oh, that's Itsy Bitsy Spider." I'm like, "Yeah." Do you also have children at home? Because I'm sure that's why you picked it up right away. It's just it went in one ear, out the other. He's like, I hate this song. And when he said I hate this song the first time I watched it, I remember being like, what song? Like that was the first thing I thought of. But it took me a while to figure that out.
He missed you with that one, in other words. He missed you with that one. Okay.
But like you said, this is a visually stunning final fight.
Yes.
And this movie in general is visually stunning.
Yes.
It goes the same route of Eternals, and where you visually stunning. In my opinion, Eternals is the most visually stunning Marvel movie ever.
When do we see that? Because that is going to be. I'm going to need some liquor.
November. No,
I hate that movie.
I think that's the first week in November, or the second week in November. So
that's going to be interesting. Because I may not hate it this time when I go back and watch it. I don't know. It's going to be weird. But anyway.
But this is such a visually stunning movie. And I was trying to think, this is like looking at a food that you're like, oh, this looks beautiful. But then you take a bite of it and you're like, there's no flavor. There's no spice. There's no anything. This is dry. What am I eating? Like, I couldn't even think of an example. I've been trying to think of an example since we started this, and I'm like, I don't even think I can think of a food that's like so visually stunning and just.
Oh, I can.
You're
100% correct.
Some people make their chicken and they're like there's just like no flavor. They add stuff, but then you take a bite and it's just like, all right, this is dry.
There's some lemon meringue pies where there needs to be a mixture of sour and sweet, and you cut into it, and it's just.
I'm not a pie person. I'm not
really
a pie.
I love pie.
I like pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie is my favorite.
I love pumpkin
pie. Love it.
I love it. That's
any
awesome.
Dessert pies too, that like any like cream based or like anything like that.
Like a mousse, like a chocolate mousse or something like that.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Okay. Oh yeah.
No, that's fair. But no, good analogy. That very, 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 very good, because it's 100% like that. Like I remember, I don't know if we were at church or whatever, but they had lemon meringue pie, and I got so up for it, Jordan. Not because I hadn't seen my waist in years. I know my way around a meal or two. So, bro, I'm super excited. Like I got my eye on this pie the whole time. We go to this church service. It's boring. Like I'm ready to go. So this is about to be the highlight of the day. I bited that thing and I'm like, oh my God, it was disgusting. But it looked so good. Oh my God, it looked good. Oh man. So that is a perfect analogy for what is going on in this film. But yeah, so Gwen shows up on the scene. She helps Peter out. They take out Electro. And then comes Harry. And yeah, man. I know it was a part of the storyline. I gotta be honest. I didn't like that they killed her there. I didn't like the way they did it. I did not like it. Now, I'm not gonna say this is a bad movie because of that, because the way they did this scene, again, visually stunning. The way that they did this scene, I don't have an argument with. Because you like, where like you felt like you didn't care, I probably cared way too much. Because the first time I saw this, I didn't know Gwen was gonna die. And so as the thing goes down and he shoots the web and she's hanging on to it, and I wish she would have just tried the swings. I wish she would have done something. I know she was in a space where she couldn't, but oh my God. And she's hanging on, and Harry being a douche. I probably shouldn't have said that, but I didn't like the fact that, let's go back. if you got the blood of the spider anyway, why are you still mad at Peter? You got the blood, right? You got
Revenge.
the blood. But you got it. You ended up getting it anyway, right? Now you could argue, okay, maybe the blood made him a little crazy. Maybe it made him a little delusional.
I think it did.
You know, maybe it did. But you got the blood. You ended up getting it. I don't know if it cured you. I don't know if it helped you. They don't even get into that. Again, there's not enough time in the movie for him to have this period where the blood settles into his body and we can see some sort of progression. It's just all rushed. And Harry just shows up on the scene and he's like, and he's disgusting. And why does the blood make him have green teeth? He was disgusting. Oh my God. And I know they didn't want to go with the mask, but I'm particularly not a fan of dudes with green teeth. Like, that's just disgusting. Oh my God. Whatever, man. You know, he and Peter, they get after it, they fight. You know, the web breaks, and we see Peter doing everything he can to save Gwen. And the way that they do that scene is masterful. We see the web come out of the web shooter. It's almost in 3D. We see it descend. We see Gwen racing in an even faster descension towards the ground. And the timing is off. And as soon as the web grabs her, her head hits the ground. And at that velocity, it had to just scramble her brain.
Well,
it's awful.
So she doesn't actually hit the ground. Her at all. Her head doesn't.
Oh, so her neck broke.
Yeah. So just like it goes the same route of the comics, where it wasn't the fall that killed her. It was literally the web attaching to her and the whiplash which snapped her neck. So that's the dark version of like the science, the dark science behind how she died. It's like, all right, what's going to be on the autopsy report? Her neck and back snapped, and she died instantly. Like that's stuff. I mean, like I knew that right away. Look, all right. My family tends to watch Investigation Discovery, so I have a deep knowledge of murder cases and stuff like that. Yeah. And I've also taken forensics classes. Yes. Right. So what is going to be on the autopsy report? She died from a broken neck or broken back, and there was whatchamacallit trauma. I forget what it is called. Where she died instantly. She 100% died instantly. And she's that I knew that right away. I was like, oh, all right, because like in that moment, I think the average, I was 13 when this movie came out. Yeah, the average 13-year-old is gonna be like, oh, you can't survive that. There's no way she survived that. She didn't. She didn't. Which I'm glad they showed how realistic this can be, because I mean, this is what would happen if you fell very far and like something caught you instantly. Yeah, you died.
So in this scene, and I think excuse me, I think Andrew Garfield masterfully does this. But you see the shock, you see the horror, and then you see it wash over him that this is his fault. And it is awful. It's awful. It is awful. It's hard to watch that and not, for me, shed real tears, because you see for me, it's about how they felt about each other, right? Yeah. Like where you and I differ. If that had been Mary Jane, I probably wouldn't care. Or I'm not gonna say I wouldn't care, but it wouldn't impact me the way that it did with Gwen. Because Mary Jane to me is superficial. She doesn't know she's superficial. You get what I'm saying? It's all about me and me and me. And I just, that, you know, maybe me being a Scorpio and being selfish myself, that's not my jam. But I just, for me, Gwen is the one that got away. Because Gwen was all about Peter. And the one thing Peter was trying to do was to protect her. He lost his parents. He lost his Uncle Ben. And now he lost Gwen. And oh God, I just felt so bad for him. I felt awful. Again, this movie has moments where it's really good, but the sum of its parts is just terrible. In this moment, like I felt real emotion. Like I felt horrible for him, because to see that, and you see him go down, he's like, come on, wake up, and he's bargaining with himself, and he's like, no. And that is 100% what anybody would say in that scenario. That is 100% what anybody would feel. You would feel horror because you did this. And even in the scene where she's like, you don't make choices for me, I do. She did, and it is her fault, and she died, but he knew this was going to happen. You get what I'm saying? Her dad knew this was going to happen. And what they don't delve into is, if he was guilty before, it's got to be worse. He's got to be seeing her dad and Gwen everywhere he goes. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was awful. It was awful. And of course, the 6 months goes by, and Aunt May has the conversation with him, and he pulls out her valedictorian speech, and it hits so much harder after that. You know what's funny? I was so shook up by her death that I never really paid attention to the valedictorian speech. And it hits so much harder after that. You know what I mean? But whatever. So, you know, he goes through the 6 months or whatever. Then, of course, they go to visit Harry in prison. Now, I'm being honest with you. I would have killed Harry. Okay? I know that's not the Spider-Man way. Jordan, I'm breaking his neck. If I'm breaking his neck. Harry will not live to get to prison. I'm breaking his neck. Because you did that intentionally, and damn that. Like, his parents, his Uncle Ben, I'm breaking Harry's neck. That's just me. But we see Harry discussing with whatever operative he has. We don't see him. We don't know who he is, but you know, they're talking about the Sinister Six, and you know, Paul Giamatti's character being the first guy for the Rhino. And you know, Spider-Man shows up, and they take, you know, they fight, whatever, the end. That ending was kind of anticlimactic. I don't know. I mean, at that point, it's done. So yeah, that was it for me. That scene is still like, I felt so bad for him. I really did. Lord knows, I felt bad for him. So that was it for me. Give me your thoughts on that scene. I know I took up a lot of time. Give me your thoughts on that scene, that final battle. Just give me your thoughts on it.
I'll tell you my exact thoughts when I first saw this movie. Because I had at no point did I think she was gonna die. I didn't think they were actually gonna do it.
Yeah,
I was like, I was like, Sony doesn't have the balls to do this. I'm like, there's no way. I was like, because I knew in my head, I was like, if they did this movie is bad because of how clustered this movie is.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that I can say that watching a movie for the first time, I felt like there was too much going on. Yeah. Normally, I'm okay with a lot going on. Like Spider-Man 3, a lot goes on in that movie, but it's cohesive still. This just feels like there's literally, in the final fight with Electro, a whole scene where there's two planes that might crash.
Mm-hmm.
And I people forget. I brought that up to someone at work, and I was like, do you remember that there was a possible plane crash in the final fight? And he's like, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, because who cares? They could have crashed, and nobody would have cared. Not a single person watching this movie would have cared.
And then there's a scene with Aunt May where she's already a leader, but didn't she just start?
Yeah.
In the hospital, but she's already okay, guys. Let's get back to like, who the hell are you? Like, what's going on?
There's a whole Aunt May you don't need to do Aunt May subplots ever. There's a whole Aunt May subplot where she's getting another job and she doesn't want Peter to know, which this doesn't end up leading anywhere to anything. But this final fight, great choreography, fantastic choreography. Like 100%. The whole fight is actually really well done. It's shot very well. But again, that's the positive of this movie, is the fighting and just visually how it looks. But as soon as I saw when she was falling, there was a part of me where I was like, I think I was leaning like I had a 65% chance she was going to live. I really was still thinking like, there's no way that they actually do this.
Right.
And then I see the web grab her, and it's a fast motion shot. It's not like we're slow-mo, but then it speeds up. We're going full speed, catches her. I forget how the original writer of the comic put it, but he the way he describes that scene in the comics is so hilarious because it's so dark. It's so dark, and he's just like, no, she died. She just her neck snapped. And he's just very blunt about the whole thing. And like, I've seen him on podcasts and people are like, oh my God. And he's like, yeah, no, she died. But seeing it, I didn't think they were going to even show like the camera angle that they did with that. I was like, whoa. I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like if this movie wasn't, if there was more of a lead, if this movie was done differently and this is how the final fight went, it would be great. It's a great final scene and for her death.
Yeah.
But you need to do this better to lead up to that. Otherwise, you don't feel anything. Right. And I love Peter's emotions and that moment, like, because you genuinely see that's the one thing that they've done great with these two movies is Andrew and Emma's relationship with one another on screen. They just do such a fantastic job with that, and you see it in that moment. You see Andrew Garfield is a great actor. He is. I mean, there's a couple movies I have on my watch list that he's in, and I want to see because I'm very curious how well he does. And then it's a very anticlimactic ending where I mean, we're sitting in on him at the grave. He hasn't been Spider-Man in so long. And it is sad. I just don't like, I don't, he then comes back. He has that conversation with Aunt May, and he's trying to save the Rhino's broken out. We have the machine guns, which I don't understand. I'm okay with a mechanized suit. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I'm not okay with like the machine guns added to that. Why does he need that? So
and it's gonna sell action figures.
But that's the thing that I thought about, because in that moment I'm like, this is not going to sell action figures because it looks weird. Like if you're a kid and you're looking at that, you're going to be like, it looks boring. It looks like there's too much going on. You need to simple toys sell. And there's too much going on with that. Even if you took out the guns, I think there's so much going on from a visual standpoint that they're like, this doesn't even look like a rhino. Like, just go buy an old school action figure of the rhino. But this kid comes out, and I'm pretty sure this is a kid from the first movie that he saved. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure though. When this kid has like a wind turbine, and he saves this kid from being bullied and stuff like that. This might be the same kid, might not. I'm not 100% sure.
I think it is.
So this kid is stupid, and goes and just tries to face off against the rhino first. I don't even understand. And Spider-Man swoops in, and you can even hear on his voice, he's just tired. He's tired of life, but he doesn't want to be there. But he knows he has to. And that's where there are other Spider-Man who go through those things, but they still know how to put on a show, for other people to be like your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, even though deep inside I want to die. That's normally how it goes. They don't really visually, or they don't vocally are talking I don't know. I felt like I needed more of a positivity in that voice with that conversation.
I think that's all we can muster, man. I can't, bro. I cannot fault him for that. I hear you and I understand, but in this iteration where you lost your parents, you lost Uncle Ben, you lost Gwen's father, at a certain point, man, those numbers, they he's taking some hits. Okay, he's taking some hits, so I get it.
My last part on this scene is that we don't even see the actual fight between him and Rhino.
That's true. That kind of sucks.
Stupid. You advertised that, Sony. Where was it in the movie?
I think that was going to be in 3 and in the Sinister Six. And get this, right? And this is where I just said Sony stupid. A plot point in the third version of the Amazing Spider-Man 3 was that Peter had regenerative powers.
Yes.
And that it was going to bring back Gwen's dad. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm so glad they didn't make that movie. So glad they didn't make that movie.
Which, do you want me to talk about did you see the deleted scene?
Yes, where his dad's really alive.
Yes.
I liked it.
I loved it. And it's so weird. But all right, let me explain this to anyone watching. So there's a deleted scene you can find on YouTube where Peter is at the grave at the end, but his dad shows up.
Right.
And honestly, very emotional. I'm feeling it. Every time I watch it, I'm like, I love this.
Right.
But where they go with it is not in that scene, but for the third installment would have been that regenerative, basically bringing people back from the dead. And
that would have been stupid.
It's just disgusting. On top of that, Sinister Six. On top of that, they were thinking about the Venom symbiote. On top of that, they were thinking about Black Cat. On top of that, they were thinking about Mary Jane. On top of that, they were thinking about a million different other ideas that would have been a lot more clustered than even this movie. So I'm glad they didn't even do that.
It sounds like a mustache twirling villain was running Sony at the time, because that's just stupid.
Yes.
There's nothing else I can say about it other than that's just I'm so glad they didn't make that movie.
And then one other thing about this that was also removed is two things. One, Felicia's Black Cat was showing up and was rumored to show up in this. Also in the second one, we hint at her in this movie, another plot. And then Shailene Woodley was casted as Mary Jane Watson. She filmed scenes too. There are photos of her on set with Andrew Garfield with their scenes, where there wasn't any romantic connection. It was more of they bumped into each other a couple times in this movie. So they were going to add in Mary Jane to this. Now, I love Shailene Woodley. Love her. Like, I love her in every movie she does. I love the Divergent movies. She's amazing in them. I'm so glad that she divorced Aaron Rodgers. I think she would have been perfect as Mary Jane. And it would have been a great transition from Emma Stone's Gwen Stacy to her Mary Jane. And I think that from that dynamic, I was like, I think they nailed that. But again, too much going on. I understand why it got cut on top of the million other plot devices and plot stories that are in this movie.
Yeah. All right. Well, so now comes the time where we rank it. I know I got a feeling of what yours is going to be. I think you're going to set records with this. Your ranking for this one is either going to be a 1 or a 0.5. That's my prediction. My ranking for this is a 5 because I did enjoy the action scenes. I did enjoy the dynamic between Gwen and Peter. I thought that was very well done. I thought it was visually stunning, but the plot was just bad. It was awful. It was terrible writing. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. I like it more so than Blade 2. No, I don't like it more than Blade 2, but I do like it more than Blade Trinity. So it's right there. It's right between Blade 2 and Blade Trinity. I gave it a 5 out of 10. Now, I'm very interested to hear your. I think it's good. I'm going to go with a 1. I'm going to go with a 1 for you. It's either 0.5 or 1. I'm going to go with a 1 because you very rarely give it a 0.5. What's your rating, sir?
All right. What I will give this movie is a visually stunning movie. I think the action fights are great. I mean, there are worse acted movies. There are a lot of bad acting in this movie, but there are a lot worse.
Oh,
like
definitely.
it's like I mean, I'm literally watching Inhumans right now, and I want to cut out my eyelids. That's what I'll give this movie. And then there are certain scenes, the connections with some of with especially the romantic connection between Peter and Gwen at times is great. Right. I think, and I mean, I love Spider-Man too. I think the costume, I think Peter's suit is so much better in this movie than in the movie.
It's outstanding.
So much better. It's not even close. I hated those yellow eyes in the first one. They were so stupid. That's the worst Spider-Man suit.
The movements as he's like just phenomenal.
Oh, that's what they do in the Amazing Spider-Man better than they do in any of the other
Spider-Man. Yeah,
is the swinging. The way he's able to just swing is perfect.
Yeah. It's on brand with the comics 100%. 100%.
And look, I'm okay with I'm still okay with the whole parents subplot. I actually am the only reason I am mad that this didn't get a third movie is I wanted to figure out what happened there.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that in the back of my head is like, yeah, I do. Like, if people ask, like, do you want a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire? Or do you want the Amazing Spider-Man 3? And I'm like, I would actually rather have the Amazing Spider-Man 3. As much as I love Tobey, I think it's cool to have like 3 Tobey, 3 Andrew, 3 Tom, but we're getting a 4th Tom. But I ended up giving this a 2.5 out of 10.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Now,
I did not expect that.
Compared to the other connected movies and shows that we're going to be reviewing, this is my 5th lowest project. It is my 3rd lowest movie overall. Now this did go down. Initially, I had this at a 3 out of 10. But I realized watching this how much I don't like the amount of plots that are in this movie. To this day, I don't think I've seen a movie with more subplots.
Yeah.
Just in any genre.
That just go nowhere. That just go absolutely nowhere.
It's almost on level with Batman and Robin.
Yes. And no, I think Batman and Robin was worse. But I hear you. But it's like they're unnecessary plot points,
Yeah.
right? It's like, my maid works at a hospital. What the hell why does it matter?
Yeah.
Nothing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what? We got to fill 2.5 hours. So
Yes.
we just want to throw all of this stuff on the wall to see what sticks.
So I do have 2 other movies that are 2.5s out of 10, Daredevil and Captain Marvel. And before I rewatched it this week, I had this movie above those movies. But I realized I would rather watch Captain Marvel than this movie, because at least Captain Marvel has a straightforward plot that I can follow.
Right.
Even though it's boring, and I think visually it's a good movie. I think the acting's solid. I think the acting between these 2 movies is like they're okay.
Mhm.
But I would rather watch Captain Marvel because at least I can follow it if I were to just put it on.
That's fair.
And this movie just frustrates me, the fact that it's Spider-Man and there's so much going. Also, really quick, I mentioned this to you last night. 2 things. 1, he's in college, and we don't see
nothing.
All it is a mention of him in college.
Yes.
He works at the Daily Bugle.
Yes.
He works for J. Jonah
There was
Jameson.
one scene in there.
Only a mention.
When Norman dies, he's at work. And it was so quick, I never caught that initially when I watched it. But you're right. You're right. Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Sony took a large dump on this movie, and it's not a good product, but whatever. The scenes were so stunning, and it's kind of one of those movies that really was good in a lot of areas, but it was just really bad in a lot more. That's the best way I can describe it. And some scenes were really good, but more so were really bad and disconnected and just chaos, chaotic. So, but either way, Jordan, we will be back tomorrow doing Captain America, the Winter Soldier. And let me tell you something. I love Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I love me some Captain America, but Captain America, the Winter Soldier is my favorite Captain America ever. I still have the soundtrack. I still listen to it every day. Don't you damn judge me, Jordan. Okay? I love it. Freaking love it. So
if you want to listen to My Little Pony, I'm not going to judge you.
But we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. and we'll get after it. To everybody who's going to watch this, we appreciate you and thank you, and just appreciate you joining us. We love doing these. We love talking about these movies. So we will see you tomorrow. Jordan, tell these folks where they can find you, my friend.
You can find me at Cultegacy. We post everything sports related. If you want more movie content, you can follow me on Instagram and just keep up to what I'm watching lately. Or you can follow me on Letterboxd. I just watched this movie called, I watch anything. And I'm a hopeless romantic, so I watched this movie, Regretting You. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. And I thought it was a good movie. I would recommend it. I mean, it's Valentine's Day. Maybe go and watch that. But yeah, you can follow me on Letterboxd, Instagram, whatever, and keep up with movies. And you can find me here. Yeah.
Every Saturday, for my ATL Movies 1, Jordan and I, we do all Marvel content. We'll probably get into some Star Wars, probably some other movies. But hey, you can catch us here every Saturday. Again, if you like ATL Sports, for my ATL Sports 1 on YouTube, all our Atlanta sports teams. And we will see you tomorrow. You guys have an amazing day. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Good night. Peace. Oh, wow. Now I can't find the thing to end the recording. And there we go. This movie was about...
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL Movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classics, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the lens.